Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Reley's Career Talks. I'm your host, Foley.
Hi, and I'm Rebecca. Welcome back.
Yes. So, right now, we have a special guest of ours, a really close friend of ours, too, making her way in the journalism field, well known through the DMV.
Mhm.
Shoot, even back home in Nigeria as well, too. And we would like her to introduce herself to our audience.
Hi everyone, my name is Adedayo Fashanu and I'm a media entrepreneur. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about, of course, your business name as well too, your company?
Yes. Yes. I'm the founder of a company called TanTV
Mhm.
and TanTVstudios.
Okay,
Okay.
nice. So what does TanTV do? What should we know about TanTV?
Yeah. So basically, TanTV is a multimedia company, publishing company, and also it has a subsidiary of a marketing agency as well.
Okay.
So I've been an independent journalist for a few years, and that's from being an independent journalist is how I pivoted into being a media entrepreneur, like running my own company and having a platform. And the concept of it is for voices to be heard. So it's a platform for multicultural voices and African voices because I'm African, Nigerian,
Mhm.
and especially being in the diaspora, and also a platform for social impact voices as well. And so my journey from being a journalist, reading for Forbes, reading for Huffington Post, and most of my writing covered millennial voices at that time, young people who were change makers in their own rights, of multicultural backgrounds, and who are doing innovative things. And so that always got me interested and passionate about telling the stories of multicultural minority individuals. So that's kind of how I got my start into media, and I've
Mhm.
tried to keep up with it and work on building a platform and doing TV production, digital publishing as well. And so now we're just like trying to continue this, but also build it as a business, basically. And business is hard, so
Yeah.
Yes,
so
definitely agree on
Yeah.
that.
so there's a lot that comes with that process of owning your
Hmm.
own media entity. Yes.
Yeah. So, did you going back in in school, back in your childhood, did you always wanted to get into journalism and media?
That's a good question because the other day my sister was telling me maybe if you had stayed in Nigeria you would have been bigger by now. And and I was like, what, maybe, but who knows, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Because when I was in school, from primary school, I've always had this thing where I was like in the press club, in the debate club, doing like quiz competition. So that was always me. And then when I entered high school, secondary school,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that was all I did. I was like, they used to call me MITV. That was the TV station in Nigeria called MITV, and my nickname was MITV because I would go for like different competitions on TV, and that was my thing. And right before I came to the US, I wanted to have my own radio show. It was going to be called Teenagers Forum. And
Oh.
so it was going to be on what they call the channel. I don't know if it still exists. It's been a minute, but Ray Power in Nigeria, the radio channel, very popular channel station. And I wanted to have a call-in show for teenagers where you could discuss teen issues, gang violence, just talk about what was going on at that time for young people, cultism in the universities. I wanted to have that platform to have conversations around that.
Mhm.
And it was around that time that I gained admission in college over here, and then I had to drop everything. So
Yeah.
somehow I think that was always my thing. But our Nigerian parents, you have to be a doctor and you have to, all of that. So when I came to school, right? When I came to school, then I was a pre-med. My pre-med major and I have a minor in chemistry degree, and I was going to do biology and all that stuff. And so I ended up with a degree in psychology and a minor in chemistry. So yeah, which
So
is
then,
crazy.
Oh
yeah, it
yeah.
is. That's you have that background. Did you ever work in that field, or
I
how
did.
did you come back to like
I did.
now
I
being in
worked
media?
in I worked in mental health for 5, 6 years.
Uh
Oh
huh.
wow.
Prior to that, I was going to be a clinical laboratory scientist. So I worked in the lab prior to pivoting into psychology. And I still love psychology. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to be a mental health advocate because we worked a lot with mental health patients. And
Mm-hmm.
so advocacy has always been a thing while doing the treatment. And so I was part of a clinical team
Mm-hmm.
within the outpatient clinic. And so that was what I did, for about 5 or 6 years. And it was around that time that I was like, I got interested in writing about mental health. So my writing actually started trying to highlight, mental health and talk about the stigmatization of mental health
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. And that was how come I started I started writing, and then I got my start at Huffington Post being a contributor for them. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
nice.
wow.
I know, right?
How did you get that connection with Huffington Post? That's a
Um,
big
at that
media.
Yeah.
time, Ariana Huffington was the editor-in-chief of Huffington Post, and
Okay.
I'd come up with a book project, which God knows I really want that book to be published, but it never got published. But
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
we had series of articles online, and it was on the topic called "The Art of Being Alive." And so I started writing about that because, from my experience in mental health, wanted to know how do you find meaning in life, and because we're dealing with a lot of people or clients who were depressed and had a lot of just like everyone has some mental health ups and downs. So that was a big
Yeah.
thing. How do you find joy? How do you find meaning in life? What makes you feel alive? And so I started asking people that question, and it just kind of became like a journalistic endeavor. When I that was basically how I got started. And Ariana often saw something I'd posted or shared, and she reached out to me to be a contributor on HuffPost. And so that was and connected me with an editor at HuffPost, and that was how I got my start there being a
Oh.
Oh
contributor.
wow.
Yeah.
That's really nice. It's kind of like full circle because you really came back to what you really like to do in your younger years.
Yes.
So I want you to kind of talk to our viewers about maybe some of the challenges you had kind of being now a media entrepreneur. Do you still work in the mental health space capacity, or you kind of like dropped that and now you're really focusing on being working with 10 TV, or what are you doing now?
Yeah. So right now
Well,
I'm still.
also, Adedayo, can you also tell us how did you like after working at the Huffington Post, what made you start transitioning to doing your own company
Yeah.
as well too?
So I didn't actually, I wasn't an employee of Huffington Post. I was a
Mm-hmm.
media contributor for them. So that made me like, that means I was independent. I was an independent journalist. So I've always sort of been on my own when it comes to journalism and just kind of navigating the field in not necessarily the traditional way that when you're a reporter or you're an anchor or you're a writer, that you have you have a particular agent. So I was basically working for different or getting commissioned by different platforms to do to publish on their platforms.
Okay.
And as I kept pitching, I would pitch stories, and I would try to get different interviews done. From there, I just realized like I was getting some no's, and you have to be strong when you're in this field, because when you're pitching and all that, you're not always going to hear a yes as you want. And so that takes you back a little bit. And to kind of have some level of control over the level of rejection I was getting, I decided, I want to have a platform, and I want to be able to have some level of control and give other people a chance to write. So the good thing about TanTV is the fact that we have contributors as well, just kind of like how HuffPost was doing. So now we have contributors, and we have thought leaders who, are kind of like experts in their own own right and share opinions, and they send, we have a portal where you can submit your inquiry if you want to be a contributor, and then you go through, an interview process. You send in your resume, and then we publish you on the platform. So that's been going well. And then back to your question, Rebecca, I basically I'm doing, I'm working as, I guess when you look at business, right, for this, having your own platform, because somehow you have to make a living out of it. It's not just going to be passion anymore, which passion is key. You need to have passion if you want to have a stake in the game. Well, the other part of it is also knowing how to generate revenue in media. And nobody teaches you the business of media, right? And and media is so competitive because you have social media influencers, you have all of that. But what separates my platform from just, I don't see myself as a social media influencer per se. I don't have that much following that on like Instagram or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But basically is the fact that I'm able to build a backend engine for the platform to where the content is quality. So we're not doing clickbaity stuff. I'm really invested in publishing smart journalism, journalism, long form journalism that gets you thinking and that informs you in that process. And so I'm taking my time, to make sure that when you look at the content we have on Tan TV, we might not have that audience yet because I know it will come. But basically, the platform is solid enough that the content is good. The content can stand, next to New York Times or Forbes or any other platform you can think of when it comes down to it. So I'm very particular about content, and so just gradually crawling, and then hopefully you can stand and hopefully you can run, that whole process. So in terms of what I'm doing, basically I've been working with different companies and brands as a media relations specialist,
Yes.
media consultancy, getting them, also like some publicity, like PR work and marketing. And so, which is how, looking at how things have been going, I launched what is called Tan TV Brands. And so Tan TV Brands is, if you go to Tan TV Brands, brands with a Z, not S.com, that's our marketing agency, our marketing arm. And the idea of that is through Tan TV Brands, we're able to engage with businesses and brands to elevate their voices and also help them navigate how they are making impact in the community. And through the impact they are making, we're telling their story and just making sure that they are also seen. And so it's kind of like, it's a whole engine, but we're working through it.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
What's I got two questions too. What
Sure.
what story is that you published that you felt so proud of, that you felt that made an impact on
That was gonna be one
yourself?
of my questions.
Oh my bad.
It's okay.
We think a lot. That made an impact on yourself as well as, the viewers.
Mhm. Ooh, there are actually many, but if you're asking for
I guess the most
one
recent.
most recent, I haven't really done a most recent.
Mhm.
Well, I guess like,
But
pre-COVID.
yeah, but like, okay, so basically, I guess if I was to go with the most recent, I would say is not necessarily an article, but it's the TV show which you're familiar with,
Yeah.
that we're able to produce with the local channel, Prince George's community television, called Africa's
Mhm.
Triumph. And that wasn't easy to pull, so that took a lot from,
Mm.
took a lot of commitment, dedication,
I know, because
teamwork.
I know.
I'm looking at Solly because he
Teamwork.
was like so
Teamwork.
into he was so helpful with making that happen. But that was a whole TV production on its own, and we did that. Like, we made that happen, and that was the first kind of like African focus show on the local channel, called Africa's Triumph. And basically, it's an interview show where we profile or highlight Africans in the diaspora who are
Mhm.
making impact or doing something interesting, innovative, that's just remarkable in the community. So I would go to that and say that's one of and we won an award for it. So best
Yeah.
new show.
Congratulations.
Yes, best new show in public access because the channel is
I
a public
like
access
it.
channel. Yeah. So and as an entrepreneur, you get to wear many hats,
Mm-hmm.
from TV production. So now, like I can say, I'm a TV producer, I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, but also like marketing. And it's how you tie all those things together to achieve the goal you have for your business. And yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to ask your second question?
Yes. Another one too is what are from all the interviews that you conducted too, can you tell us some famous, celebs that you you talked to that you were like,
um,
so excited to interview? Because I know
yes,
you
yes.
have. You talked to a lot.
I have. I
Hmm.
have. I'm really big on philanthropy
Hmm.
and social impact. And when you think about sustainability and you think about things that gears towards making the world a better place. And so I'm always
Mm-hmm.
attracted to individuals who use their platform or who are in the field of making a difference in the world.
Oh,
So
thank you,
one of the
Adedayo. That's what we do.
I know. I mean, this is great. This is great, and I congratulate you guys on this because this is a learning
I'm joking.
platform.
Yes.
No, but it's true. You're right. It's a
Uh-huh.
learning platform, and anybody watching this and watching other episodes you've had, I'm sure will be inspired by what you're doing. So yeah. um,
Thanks.
but you know, so someone I would say is the first United Nations envoy on youth,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Hamed Al Endawi, and
Mm-hmm.
he was young. He was the first ever UN envoy on youth, and so he represented uh, the billions of young people out there at that when he took that position. And he truly was such an inspirational figure, owning that position. And so we got invited to the United Nations to do a one-on-one sit down with him and in New York, so which we did, and I wore my entire regalia, traditional outfit,
Of course,
you
got
know,
to.
and so I did it for a show that I was running a pilot on, which I'm hoping can come back, because the idea of TanTV really, and I'm gonna say this out there and from my mouth to God's ears, is that
Yes, claim it.
TanTV really aims to be a broadcast network on
Mm-hmm.
cable, right? Going the traditional path and also digital path as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have any platform like that really highlights the voices of the diaspora, basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? The immigrant community, the African diaspora. So I'm really hoping that that platform can serve for that purpose. But basically, we did an interview with the UN Youth Envoy, and it was really good. And I've interviewed him like 3 times because he moved on to be the Secretary General for the World Organization SCAP movement, which that was also good. So the second person I would say was in terms of celeb wise, was the ex-president of Tanzania.
Oh,
Mhm.
Ki-
nice.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
Kikwete,
Oh, you interviewed
Executive
Kikwete. That's
Kikwete.
interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I
Nice.
interviewed him when I covered actually the Scalp movement had a conference, for the first conference in Baku, Azerbaijan. And
Mm-hmm.
so he was the keynote speaker, and I was the guest journalist to cover that event. So I got to interview him at that event. So I'd say those are the two big ones that I've had, but everybody else I've interviewed is also big in their own right. So not to
Mhm.
take away, from anybody else. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think I saw one picture you interviewed the cast from Sesame Street. So
Yes, yes, yes. The president of social impact at of Sesame Workshop. Sesame
Mhm.
Workshop is the foundation of the nonprofit arm of Sesame Street, right?
Okay.
And so her name is Sherry Weston, and Sesame Street generally has been doing good work over the years. And even with their workshop, they get to go into conflict regions, localize children's education, like just kind of localize it based on the region and try to create these puppet characters to, as just a learning tool for children. And so they're really bridging the gap when it comes to education and for children in different regions and especially conflict zones. So that interview was really good. It was on an episode of TanTV Talks, and all of that is on the website. You can see a lot of the interviews and a lot of the work we've been doing it on the TanTVstudios.com website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have one last question.
Sure.
So since you've been doing so many things here in this part of the world, do you have any ideas or plans for, back home, or back to Nigeria, kind of, diversifying Tan TV in Africa? And then also my second part of that question is kind of what are your next steps? So what can we expect from you moving forward in 2021, like the next 2-3 years? What should we be looking out for?
My hope is that so locally around here, within the US, I definitely want to go to Hollywood. I want Tan TV to cover entertainment, but from a unique angle. So Hollywood is in the books, right? Tan TV having a branch, an annex in LA is on the go. Also, being on TV, being on Comcast is, in all 50 something states, of the US.
It might be 51 soon.
I know, right? With DC, right?
Yeah,
So,
DC joins.
yeah. So being on TV and being in the ranks of, CNN and Bravo, I know 3 years is such a short time, right?
Anything
So
is possible.
I know, right? But we are in this on the long run. This is not
Mhm.
a one-off thing. And then also having the satellite communications. And so that means being placed in Lagos, Paris, wherever, like around the world, and being able to report from those areas. So the idea of it is, for instance, we had the NSAS movement, with the
Mhm.
protests, right, that
Yeah.
happened in Nigeria and took
Mhm.
like the diaspora. And we at that point, I found myself really itching and hoping, wishing that I had the platform was well known and we were really able to bring on voices and really have conversation, because conversation goes a long way. I actually even reached out to somebody from the United States Institute of Peace, and they wouldn't come on camera to even discuss, like they wouldn't. So they were like, it's very sensitive. This is
Mhm.
that, but a platform like ours, if we were doing as good as we aim to do, would have really served as a platform for those voices, And I did my little bit, covered it in my own little way. But at the end of the day, those are the voices, like what's going on in Africa when it comes to human rights, when it
Mhm.
comes to youth employment and youth development. All of those things matter, and we need a platform that can elevate those voices. So the vision of Tan TV is really big in that sense, that we want to be able to have establish our platform so that conversations that matter, like issues, when it comes to social justice, and we
Mhm.
can be that platform for voices, like bridging the gap for voices, because media is so saturated in the sense that it's always the same kind of stories you see, and it's always the
Yeah.
same experts, it's always the same
I
people that
know.
Viewpoints.
once you're in, it's
Yeah.
like then they keep giving you spots and giving you airtime.
Mhm.
But
I
then there's so
know.
many, exactly, there's so many voices that exist.
Mhm.
And so I feel like there's a space for us. Like it's not, I wouldn't say, oh, because we already have a CNN or we already have whatever out there, then that means Stan TV doesn't have a space. Trust me, there's space for us. 'Cause I
Mhm.
know that like there are people whose voices will be amplified because our platform exists. There are
Yeah.
lives that will be changed. There are people that will be informed. There are people that will be inspired because we are
Mhm.
creating shows that people can connect with because this platform exists. So I always look at each life and each person that you are on earth for a purpose and you just have to find your purpose. And whatever that purpose is, if you're lucky to find it, then you stick with it and you have passion to run through with it. Because that's the only way you're going to survive. And that's the only way you're going to make a difference. Because in one person's life, there are other people's destinies tied to you being successful.
That's so true.
So you have no choice than to be successful. And that's kind of how I view life, because I just know like I cannot afford to fail. And even sometimes when my morale is down or I'm not getting the kind of answers I want, or I keep trying and I keep getting no's, because trust me, lately I've gotten so much no's on so many different things. Like I cried one time, like I just had serious migraine. I was like, God, what's going on? But then, you have to keep going. You can't stop, because when you become successful, there are people that would not have jobs if you don't employ them. There are people who, there are people who would not know something if you're not at your best self. So your role, I feel like on earth, is to be your best self, to stay strong, and to not give up on yourself because of other people. And you always have to think of the greater purpose. Because for me, when I ran the Art of Being Alive, I looked at the stories that I heard from people. What makes you feel alive? What inspires you? Blah, blah, blah. The one thing I could get from the interviews, I did like over 100 interviews. It never published as a book, which I hope it will, and maybe I can update the findings. But when I went back to read the stories that people told me about what makes them feel alive, it was always tied to doing something greater than yourself.
Yeah.
It was always about working for the greater good, working for something bigger. So when you look beyond yourself, you're able to figure out this is your why. Your why always has to be bigger than you, because if not, you would remain small. If not, you'll live a mediocre life. If not, you're not going to achieve the goal that you set for yourself. So every time I think about why I'm doing this, why am I creating a platform? Why am I not, why does the hustle feel so stiff, right? It's just because there's it's there for you to overcome. And when I think of the why, I'm like, because I want to leave a legacy. I want to make an impact in the world. I want that when I leave this earth, when you think of Adedayo, you hear of Adedayo, you can see the work that I've been able to do. And I can also create something for my generation, that my grandchildren, my generation will look back and be thankful that someone like me existed in the lineage. And that's it.
Oh,
that's very motivational.
Yeah, very powerful too.
It's like,
yeah.
Honestly, you kind of wrapped it up in a really nice bow. Like, at the end of the day, it's not just about you, it's about the impact you're making on others, and making sure that, you're continuing to put into others. So it's not just doing it just because you want to do it. You feel like, I'm going to make money from this. But at the end of the day, it's like, how can you impact someone else? How can you better and improve their lives? So I really appreciate that. That was actually really phenomenal.
And I just want to say thank you for your time and being on our show as well too. How can our audience reach you on, social media, as well as your website?
Yes, the website is TanTVstudios.com. If you
by
need
the way,
marketing
her website
services,
is fire too.
Thank you. But the big one is our marketing agency, and that's really what we're putting a lot of time into. Is we're creating a platform where we can serve as a one-stop solution for all your marketing needs. That's, you're talking about print, promotionals, digital marketing. So we're into all of that, and we have a partner right now called Optamark. So I know I didn't talk about it the whole time, but just to wrap up, Optamark is a big partner with TanTV Brands. And so with our partnership with Optamark, they help us and we work together to make sure that we can fulfill marketing needs when it comes to like everything you can think of, when marketing basically, and working with organizations like nonprofits and hospitality industry, health, and all of that stuff. So that's one thing. So tantvbrands.com, BRAND with a Z.com. You're going to get all the information. Yeah.
Okay. As well as your social, your IG, Facebook as well too.
TanTVstudios and TanTV Brands.
Okay.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn right now. Adedayo Fashanu on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
And LinkedIn and Twitter are my two main platforms.
Okay.
Oh,
So
nice.
Adedayo Fashanu.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being on our show. We
Mhm.
really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me. Thank
Learned
you
a
for
lot.
having me.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you take care.
We wish you well in all your endeavors.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And you guys are doing such great jobs. Please
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
continue. Don't
you.
stop.
Yeah.
And yes, I know your platform as well will reach a lot of people. And let
Oh.
me know. I'm happy to have your episodes on TanTV's
Oh.
Studios
Oh,
website.
thank you
Oh,
for
thank
that.
you.
That's
Thank
So
you.
you have a home
noted.
with us if you're looking for,
Oh, thank
to
you.
kind of cross promote the
Yes, I
show.
think that would be really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I was thinking about your marketing as you're talking. I was like,
Yes.
something I need to look into.
Yeah.
Yes, we
But
should
yeah,
talk. Like
definitely. Yes, of
it's
course.
yeah, it's what I've been working on actively because we need to bring in revenue at the same time we need to help others
Mm-hmm.
figure
Mm-hmm.
it out. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what the work we've been doing as well.
I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
it. I'm definitely
Cool.
here for it.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you. And, you have a great day.
Yes.
Thank you. And
Talk
you
to
as
you
well.
later.
Talk to you
Okay.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So, guys, that wraps up another episode with our phenomenal media entrepreneur that you just heard from, Adedayo Fashanu and Foley.
Yes. Well, you can reach us at our website at Raleigh'sCareerServices.com. If you want a resume, cover letter, mock interview, career counseling done, please send us a question. There's a submission page as well too, where you can submit a request for services or questions as well too. Also, you can reach us on our social medias, which is Reley's Career Services LLC. It's Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well too.
So we'll catch you later. Definitely feel free to let us know if you have anything of interest, any topics, any people want us to interview on this platform. We will be happy to hear from you and happy to hear your feedback. So guys, have an awesome day and be successful.
Take care.